Okay, so um, now Khalid Miran told us that the gods are androgynous, meaning that they have both male and female body parts, or they might appear with their own female counterparts. Anani, from the Mandaean sources, is the female counterpart, or Dmuta. Okay, Dmuta is a Mandaic word that means counterpart. Doesn't necessarily mean female counterpart, just counterpart. And yes, the Mandaeans have their own language, it's called Mandaic. In Mandaism, all Milki and Uthri, they say, Uthri means angels, all Milki and Uthri, they say, have female counterparts or spouses called Anani. And the mystic union of the male and female principles of life are grossly reflected in human marriage. Anani sounds very close to Inanna. Inanna is the Venus, basically, right? Inanna is Venus in the ancient Sumerians, basically called Venus Inanna. And they also believed, just like the Mandaeans, that Venus was married to the sun. Okay? So Inanna, Venus, was married to the sun just like the Mandaeans. The Sumerians held the same belief. I want to read to you the Anana Denura. So just below the paragraph of Anani, you're going to say Anana Denura, meaning the cloud of light or the cloud of radiance, also called Hawa Kassia. Okay? So Hawa Kassia, and Khalid Miran told us that the god of the Mandaeans, the great life, the hidden sun, is called Adam Kassia. Okay, so the wife of Adam Kassia, the hidden Adam, Kassia means hidden, is going to be none other than Hawa Kassia, the hidden Hawa, of course. And notice the name of Hawa Kassia is Anana. Okay? Anana Denura. Sounds very close to Inanna, doesn't it? From the sacred marriage rite aspects of faith, myth, and ritual in ancient Sumer. Preface. For close to a century now, the scholarly world has known of an ancient Mesopotamian fertility cult, whose major protagonists were the shepherd king Dumuzi, commonly known as Tammuz from biblical form of the name, the outstanding prototype of the dying god, and his loving spouse Inanna, also known by her Semitic name Ishtar. But until quite recently, very little concrete, definite, authentic, and trustworthy data relating to this Dumuzi Inanna or Tammuz Ishtar cult were available to the cuneiformist, and almost none at all to the anthropologist and historian. And from this source, Tammuz, meaning and verses, from the Bible Encyclopedia. Tammuz, right, we've said that Tammuz and Ishtar were married together, or Dmuzi and Inanna. The Dmuzi is Tammuz and Inanna is Ishtar. Tammuz, the name of a Phoenician deity, the Adonis of the Greeks, he was originally a Sumerian or Babylonian sun god called Dmuzu, the husband of Ishtar, who corresponds to Venus, Aphrodite of the Greeks. Okay, so the Sumerians had the same belief. They also believed that the sun god Tammuz was married to Ishtar, that's Venus. Okay, and this belief, as we're going to see later on, and I have a complete chapter on this, exists amongst almost all of the Sabians. The father is the son, and Venus is the mother. Or it could be that, the father is the son, and then the moon is the mother. And I'm going to describe to you I'm going to explain in details the relation between Venus and the moon. Venus and the moon form a crescent, basically. Venus and the moon form a crescent, so they were seen as a, it was seen that Venus is an avatar of the moon. In some sort of way, it was seen that Venus is an avatar of the moon. So, the sun is married either to Venus or it's married to the moon. And I think that actually, if we go back just a few slides, did we not discuss this? I think we've discussed this when we were talking about the, exactly here, Arabian religion, pre-Islamic deities. In Saba, the national god was Al-Makka, a protector of artificial irrigation, lord of the temple of the Sabian Federation of Tribes. Until recently, Al-Makka was considered to be a moon god, under the influence of now generally rejected conception of the South Arabian pantheon consisting of an exclusive triad. The father is the moon, the mother is the sun, the mother's sun, meaning the solar orb, and the sun Venus. Okay, so they had a trinity. The father is the moon, the mother is the sun, and the son is Venus, the male child is Venus. This trinity was the sacred trinity of the Sabians. Okay, this is the sacred trinity of the Sabians. I have a whole chapter on this. I'm going to discuss it with you later. The hidden sun along with the hidden Venus, or the hidden sun along with the hidden moon, and they produce the physical sun. Like I said, I have a whole chapter on this, but now is not the time. In Zoroastrianism, we're back to talking about androgynous gods, right? In Sabaic religions, all of the gods are androgynous. So let's go ahead and look at Zoroastrianism. The archangels, the higher celestial beings, Amisha Spentas, or holy immortal ones, they are all created by Ahura Mazda. Plutarch refers to them in his work with the Godhead at the pinnacle. They form a heptid, or a heptid, and are henceforth mentioned as the seven holy immortal ones severally. They are both male and female. Okay, so the seven supreme beings of the Zoroastrians are androgynous. Right? They are androgynous. And these are the seven planets, by the way. The seven holy planets. Let's go over to the Hindus. Ardhanarishvara, composite male-female figure of the Hindu god Shiva, together with this consort, Parvati, as seen in many Indian and Southeast Asian sculptures. The right male half of the figure is adorned with traditional ornaments of Shiva. The left female half shows hair well combed and well developed breast. A predecessor of Ardhanarishvara appears in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay, just forgive me, I'm really sorry. Which states that the first creature was of the same size and kind as a man and woman closely embracing. Okay, so the first creature was of the same size and kind as a man and woman closely embracing. He caused himself to fall into two pieces, and from him a husband and a wife were born. So Shiva, for anyone who doesn't know, is the moon god, right? The supreme god of the Hindus, one of the supreme gods of the Hindus. And it says here that his sculptures showed him being both male and female. Okay, so Shiva in his, the idols that represented Shiva were both male and female. One side is male, the other side is female, denoting an androgynous nature of this god. Next up, the Greeks. Let's go ahead and look at what the Greeks have to tell us. This conception crystallized even to today in our textbooks, originated in the legends of the ancient Eastern or pre-Hellenic people. To explain the two sexes of human beings, these people believed that the first humans were bisexual and androgynous, who divided later, one half giving rise to males and the other half to females. This legend is retold by Plato in his Symposium. Further, to symbolize fertility, the races of the ancient East believed in the existence of bisexual deities. The Greeks, who added to their Aryan religion of the 12 Olympian gods, many of the ancient Oriental deities took a bisexual divinity, to whom they gave the name Hermaphroditus, the son of Hermes and Aphrodite. Okay, so the gods, as you can see in all of the Sabaic religions, were androgynous. The Greeks, the Zoroastrians, the Hindus, the Mandaeans, the source of this is, of course, the Egyptians. So let's go ahead and read. This is from the Egyptian sources. The Ogdod, a group of 8 divine beings, or of 8 ions, consisted of 4 frog-headed male gods and their serpent-headed female counterpart. This divine group represented the dark, watery, unknown, and eternal state of the cosmos prior to creation. Nun and Nonet represented water. Heh and Hohet expressed the notion of infinity. Kek and Koket stood for darkness. Amun and Amunet reflected the concept of hiddenness. These 8 gods existed within the watery chaos of pre-creation. Okay, so every god comes with his female counterpart, or the god is androgynous. Basically, what this means is the god is androgynous. He has both a male and a female counterpart. Within this unchanging nothingness, there was potential for creation. The Egyptians believed that from these 8 gods came a cosmic egg that contained the deity responsible for creating the rest of the world. Just like the Mandaeans, including the primeval mound, the first land to arise out of the waters of pre-creation. After the mound appeared, a lotus blossom bloomed, signaling the birth of the newborn sun god Atum-Ra. Atum, whose name means complete or perfection, is often associated with the concepts of totality and completion. He is considered the first being and the originator of the divine and earthly realms. After the sun made its first appearance, the rest of creation could follow. So the sun is the supreme god of the Egyptians and is the supreme god of all of the Sabians. This story about the egg, I have a whole chapter on the story of the egg, and we're going to see it with the Greeks, and we're going to see it with the Hindus, we're going to see it with the Muslims. Like I said, I have a whole chapter. Now is not the time to talk about this. Okay, so let's just continue. Ether, Ayar, this is the heavenly air I told you guys about, is the second element in the first version of creation with the Pir. It is the rarest of all elements of creation, and a personification of the purest heavenly atmosphere in which the Mandaean deities dwell. When a Mandaean dies, his soul is released and flies towards the Mataratia, purgatories, or watchhouses. After necessary purification, the soul reaches her final destination, that is, the realm of light. In the world of light, there is nothing material, only Jordans of living water, also called Yardena, which is, like I've told you guys, the counterpart of the physical water on earth. Okay? Heavenly Ayar, which is most pure and clear and colorful, flowers and evergreen plants and trees exist. The soul brings a yar with her when she descends into this world and settles in the human trunk. And her soul and her reward, the soul's reward basically, uh, the ether is being equated to the soul. Her reward after death is to travel back to the world of light and dwell in the sublime ayar. Ether, just as the heavenly Jordan mixes with the earthly waters, the heavenly Jordan is the Yardina, mixes with the earthly waters and purifies them. Ayar mixes with the worldly air and purifies it. Ether perhaps corresponds to the old Persian god of the wind Vay, or Vay, that blows between heaven and earth, and who became the space separating the kingdom of light above and the kingdom of darkness below. Mandaean literature credits the origin of the sexual desire to the living water and to the messenger Hibal-Zewa. So the living water Venus, as we've said, Venus in most Sabaic religions is the goddess of love and lust and fertility. Let's just continue reading. Hibal-Zewa. I went towards two legally joined persons. I came and opened living waters and gave to the pair of this world to drink. I opened living water and gave of them to the bridal pair of this world to drink. I sowed in them pregnancy and birth, and with sexual desire I inflamed them and caused love to dwell in both of them. Yardina, the Mandaeans call all rivers and streams Jordans, meaning Yardina, and the Jordan in their belief is a terrestrial river, descended from the celestial world by way of mountains. The Jordan of the pure white waters originates from the great Mana, who dwells in the great ether of life. The heavenly Jordan is not only the link between the world of light and the physical world, but also functions as the conduit which pours from the world of light in order to purify the black lifeless waters of the earth. The black waters encircled the circumference of the world remained turbid. So I have a quick note on this. The earth is a flat disk, and this will be later discussed. So the black waters encircled the circumference of the world remained turbid. They believed that the earth was a flat circle and that the habitable earth that we live on, basically, you know what, it's easier for me to just show you guys what they used to believe in back in the day. Okay, this is what they used to believe in. This is the earth. As you can see, it is surrounded by water on all sides, and all of that water is held in place by a circumferential mountain range. Okay, so there was a circumferential mountain range, it held all of the water in place, and at the very center of that water is the habitable earth on which we live. Okay, so this is what that means. So, Yardina, fourth line. The black waters encircle the circumference of the world, remained turbid until the great life ordered the Savior Mandad Hay to draw a channel of living water and let it fall into the black waters without the living water of the Yardina, purifying the Mandaeans. Their Nishimta, that's the soul, would remain confined to this world, the world of darkness, and could never return to the world of light. Add video of Khalid Miran. I've already added this. I should have removed this line, to be honest. Okay. So the Avestan Anahita from this is from the Zoroastrians. Okay. Malandra, 1983, An Introduction to Ancient Iranian Religion. Readings from the Avesta, that's the holy sacred book of the Zoroastrians. Page 119 of this book, let's read it together. The Avestan Anahita is syncretistic goddess, composed of two major and independent elements. On the one hand, she manifests the ancient Indo-Iranian idea of heavenly river. So just like the Yardena, she's a heavenly river who brings the waters to the streams and rivers of the earth. On the other hand, she is a goddess of uncertain origin, who, though maintaining many of her original traits, came to be associated with the cult of Inanna Ishtar, Venus. They say that Venus is of watery nature, for its opponent, Sadwis, is of a watery nature. Lomel is an important article set forth set forth a body of evidence to show that she is actually the Hindu river goddess Saraswati. I hope I pronounced that right. If I pronounce anything incorrectly, I hope that you guys please do forgive me. There's just too much information, and sometimes there's no way of knowing how to pronounce a word, unfortunately. So, if I make a mistake, please do forgive me. I'm trying my best. Anahita is seen in the form of a beautiful, very strong maiden, well-built, high-girdled, erect, noble-dressed in a long-sleeve, embroidered golden coat. So Anahita is represented as a female. Anahita, the female goddess of the Zoroastrians, the river goddess, right? That supplies the rivers with the waters. The earthly rivers get their waters from Anahita, and she's represented as a beautiful female. Right? Venus is usually represented as a beautiful female. Let's go ahead and read from the Hindu sources. I'm going to read my note first. Goddess Ganga is another important heavenly river. Its earthly counterpart is the Ganges River. From India, a sacred geography. Kashi, a sacred city in India, was here, they say, even before the Ganga plunged from heaven to earth. But when she, the Ganga River, fell from heaven upon the head of Shiva, and when King Bhagiratha led her out into the plains and across North India, he brought her past the sacred Kashi, making this place doubly sacred. Here, the fire of Shiva and the cooling waters of the Ganga, considered to be a liquid form of Shakti, are inextricably linked together. There are springs, streams, and wells that bring the heavenly Ganga to the lingas of Shiva. These are sort of like statues of Shiva, wherever they may be located. Here in Kashi, there are hundreds of Shiva temples, large and small, where pilgrims and local worshippers make their prayers and offerings. The very stones of Kashi are Shiva, and so it seems at every corner, at every turn, that there is a tiny shrine, a Shiva linga, its stone worn with the water and worship of the ages. Okay, and this is the goddess Ganga. This is on your left. You can see a sculpture of the goddess. From the Greek sources, also she, Tethys, brought forth to Oceanus, the river that encircles the world, a holy company. The Greeks also believed that the earth was a circle and a river encircled the world, and all of the Sabians believe this, basically, and the Muslims believe this, as we're later going to see. So Tethys brought forth to Oceanus a holy company of daughters. To this charge Zeus appointed them, Peitho, Admete, and Lanthe, etc. Gotling notes that some of these nymphs derive their names from lands over which they preside, as Europe, Asia, Doris, Lanera, land of the Ionians. And this is the Ionian seats between Greece and Italy, as you can see. Okay. But that most are called after some quality which their streams possessed. Thus, Xanthi is the brown or turbid, Amphira is the surrounding river, Lanthi is she who delights, and Osairo or Okairo is the swift flowing. Okay, so the rivers of the world are deities, okay, according to the Greeks and according to all of the Sabians. The goddess of sexual love and beauty, Aphrodite, Venus, was in fact very widely worshipped as a goddess of the sea. She was also honored as a goddess of war. Okay, so Aphrodite, Venus, was associated with the waters of the world. They didn't associate her with the river because there's no river in Athens, right? So they associated Aphrodite, Venus with the sea. Where does this come from? Where does the deification of rivers come from? The Egyptians. Everything comes from the Egyptians. The god Happy, representing the divine power of the Nile. The Nile flood and the inundation was called by the Egyptians the arrival of Happy. The Nile was both the primary source of life in ancient Egypt and by virtue of its cyclic rhythm, a manifestation of cosmic order, so that Happy is thus called Creator God and even Father of the Gods, due to his life-giving and creative ability. He was also appealed to as a caring father and a god who maintained balance in the cosmos. The power of Happy was also expressed as both chthonic and sexual. The late period famine stela expresses these ideas in stating, "It, the cavern, which is the god's dwelling, is the house of sleep of Happy. He brings the flood, leaping up he copulates as man copulates with woman." Imagery which was applied to many of the gods who represented aspects of fertility and primeval creation. So Happy was associated with fertility. The river is associated, the heavenly river or Venus is associated with fertility, always. Right? This is always the case. Representations of Happy usually show the god as a swollen-bellied man wearing an abbreviated belt or loincloth and with long hair and pendulous female breasts. Most often he was shown with blue skin. Okay, most often he was shown with blue skin. And from the Egyptians, this is also coming from the Egyptians, at one place the river of Duat, this is the water bridge that leads to heaven, joined the great celestial waters, which were supposed to form the source of the earthly Nile. Okay, so the celestial waters formed the source of the earthly Nile. In terms of the blue skin, we've said that Happy has blue skin. This is something that you're going to see with most of the Sabaic religions. Mandaeans are not allowed to wear blue because blue is the color of Ruha's dress. And Ruha, as we've said, is an avatar of Venus. Ruha is an avatar of Venus. So the Mandaeans do not wear blue. She's an evil avatar of Venus. Okay? Not one of the good ones. From the Golden Ass Penguin Classics, the white color of the goddess's skin, Venus, symbolizing her descent from heaven, contrasted with the blue of her dress, recalling her connection with the sea. So this is the Greeks, basically, the Golden Ass translated with an introduction and notes. The Greek sources tell us that Venus wears blue, basically. Her dress is blue in color. Okay. In Islam, the Prophet greeted him, and Adam returned his greeting and said, "Welcome, O my son, what a good son you are. Behold, he saw two flowing rivers. While he was in the nearest heaven, he asked, What are these two rivers, O Gabriel?" Gabriel said, "These are the sources of the Nile and the Euphrates." Okay, this is Sahih al-Bukhari 7517. So like I said, in all of the Sabaic religions, you're going to see that Venus is associated with the waters, and the heavenly river supplies the earthly waters, the earthly rivers with their waters. So next up, we're going to talk about mana. And after mana, we're going to go back to reading from the Kinzer Rabbah. So, we have a lot to talk about. Come back for some more information. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time.